quarterback advantage, it does exist, but it's much less significant than you might think. It's all about the chess match. It's all about the details. And it's all about the Cowboys leaning into what got them to the 5-yard line. And the maniacal effort exemplified by special teamers and wide receiver threes like Ryan Flournoy. That's what wins this game tomorrow. In my opinion, probably the biggest piece of information that I'm paying attention to. Cowboys run play action at the 5th highest rate. Dak Prescott, the 4th most successful quarterback off of play action passing attempts. You know who the worst defense in the National Football League is currently against that set of criteria, play action pass? Right there on your screen. The Kansas City Chiefs. First things first, ham over turkey. 8 days a week and thrice on Thanksgiving Thursday. And you can debate your mama on that one. You can't tell me, well, maybe you can, but if very few of us can say that we've ever tried dry ham. And with that, I rest my case. By the way, also stuffing, far superior to macaroni and cheese. And I know I may be in the minority on that one, but I'll die on that hill as well. It's become the most it's just nullified by the American diet's willingness to try to include mac and cheese with everything. It's not special. It doesn't stand out because we're so used to overdoing it as a side dish, and then most people doing it wrong. When done well, it's a pretty elite dish. Okay, but it doesn't speak volumes to me as far as, okay, when I see it on the spread, when I look at the table across my room filled with family, friends, and football, I'm not drawn to the macaroni and cheese because I'm used to seeing that. It's a mainstay. It's commonplace. We expect that. And it's never overwhelming for me. So stuffing over mac and cheese as well. Now, Cowboys Chiefs. The first thing I want to mention is that as excited as Chiefs fans should be to get Isaiah Pacheco back, I understand the appeal there. Stompy, as my friend group likes to refer to him as, just trying to stomp the yard, step through the ground with every cut that he makes and every defender that he tries to run over. It's a fun style, but in my opinion, you should be as much or more concerned with the net negative of Trey Smith not being active. Okay, the Trey Smith out matters more than Isaiah Pacheco in. That's what I want Cowboys and Chiefs fans to both understand, okay? Especially against this Cowboys team, if there's ever a time when you want your all-pro all-pro guard, right? It's this one. If there's ever a matchup against Quinnen Williams, Osa Odigizua, and Kenny Clark, if you're unfamiliar, you're about to find out. Okay, next for the inactives that I want to mention really quickly. Chris Roland Wallace is out. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom tells me that that's cornerback 2 in their eyes. Second-year man out of USC. Really, really fun-looking player. Okay, he'll be missing this game. I don't know a ton about him or his background. I haven't studied him closely. So you guys can fill me in the comments on that one. But I will say this, and this might sound like a hot take, especially to the casual observer. Noah Gray is also a significant loss for the Chiefs. He will also be missing this game as well. That is a guy who, in my words, does a lot of the dirty work, an integral part of this Chiefs offense, one of the key contributors to the offense because of the things that he does both in the run game and in the passing game. Okay, he's physical at the point of attack, but he can exploit you through the air. He's got more verticality at this point than Travis Kelce does at this stage of his career. I think Noah Gray is a more integral part of their offense, the effort that he displays. Okay, and once again, this is just my own observations, watching the Chiefs semi-closely, knowing that they're on the docket, right? And for most of this season, I'm paying attention to what's going on. And Noah Gray is a guy who is involved as an extension of the offensive line often. Very smart player. Understands zone tendencies and when to sit down in the zone, and has great hands and good after the catch ability. That's an important one for me. In the run game especially. And without Trey Smith already, against a really disruptive Cowboys defensive line interior, I'm curious to know how successful the Chiefs will be, if at all, against the Cowboys defensive front in the run game. Remember, the previous two opponents, Raiders and Eagles, completely abandoned it, even despite one of the latter of which, the team, the defending Super Bowl champions that they're known for, having a 21-point lead. The Eagles still had no answer. Still couldn't lean on the run. 10 carries for 22 total yards with a 21-point lead and 3 quarters to play. That's an indictment, and that should open your eyes right there. Okay? The other 3 things that we're going to focus on. The keys to the game for me. The difference between Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones, and the details, the nuances, and the intricacies of the quarterback position that so often get overlooked will matter very much. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here in just a second. Okay, that's key number 1. The details of the quarterback position. Number 2 is Brian Schottenheimer, Dak Prescott, and company not banging their head against the wall. We already have 5 examples of sequences this season in which they choose to go away from power and pad level inside the 5-yard line. Stop reminding us that the Seahawks chose not to hand the football to Marshawn Lynch in Super Bowl 49. Okay, that's key number 2. And parlayed with that is the effort exemplified by one particular Cowboys receiver who also contributes significantly to special teams. They exemplify that level of Ryan Flournoy effort, maniacal effort. They're going to have a chance to beat anybody. I'll take 53 Ryan Flournoys every single chance I can get. All right? And lastly, let me see what I'm leaving off here. Chris Jones. In the chess match of Steve Spagnuolo and the Cowboys offensive staff and quarterback. The way that they try to, especially in key downs and distances, 3rd and long situations, Steve Spagnuolo is one of the best at mugging the line of scrimmage, simulating pressure, and generating one-on-ones. Okay, but one of the tendencies that I picked up on that I hope the Cowboys, particularly, like I said, Clayton Adams, Dak Prescott, and Brian Schottenheimer are paying very close attention to, and I imagine they are, given their recent history that we've seen with them having a plan and an approach for what they've shown, the exotic protections to dial up deep shots to their 2 alphas on the outside, dealing with people like Dexter Lawrence, Quinnen Williams at the time in which they played the Jets early on in the season, Max Crosby, Derek Brown, Micah Parsons. They've had a very unique and very exotic plan, throwing different looks at those guys. It's not just Dak Prescott standing and delivering from the same platform every single time he drops back to throw the football. And it's dang sure not the same guy in the same pass set trying to put hands on the same really disruptive player. Okay, it's insane to me to consider the fact that the Cowboys may have the best defensive tackles or tackle in a matchup that features Chris Jones. That's crazy to say. I'm not used to being able to even think about saying that word, that sentence. But it's where we're at. But the tendency that we'll notice is something, once again, that I hope the Cowboys are paying very close attention to. And I anticipate that they are. All right, let's dig in. And by the way, I'm Lando from The Lando Show. For those of you that are new here, if you have enjoyed yourself so far or learned anything from this, please support the channel. Keep this platform free by hitting the like button for me and expanding this already 85,000 strong and counting members of the Sports Below the Surface truthers, right? The truth for the true fan, where my number one objective is to creatively convey the truth for fans like you watching this one that deserve to hear it, okay? My man Price Carter here. In my opinion, probably the biggest piece of information that I'm paying attention to. Cowboys run play action at the 5th highest rate. Dak Prescott, the 4th most successful quarterback off of play action passing attempts. You know who the worst defense in the National Football League is currently against that set of criteria? Play action pass. Right there on your screen. The Kansas City Chiefs, currently the 32nd ranked EPA per dropback and passing DVOA defense this season off of play action. Why is that important? So we'll take it a step further here and get to this post off of that. Okay, so it's manipulating. It's first worth mentioning Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill. As good a tandem as you'll find at the linebacker position. Hyper aggressive, though, stopping the run, getting downhill. They trigger and they get downhill real fast. So one of the things that you keep them honest, one of the ways that you exploit them and take advantage of the 32nd ranked play action pass defense is to be able to convince them that you're handing the football off with your ball skills. Freezing them just enough. Getting them to hesitate just enough. Being able to outflank them just enough as a result of their hesitation to get ball carriers in space. Let me show you an example. Show you exactly what I'm talking about. This right here. This is important, y'all. This is paramount, okay? The number one thing I'm paying attention to this week, because they are a tough unit to run against. Just ask the MVP caliber running back, Jonathan Taylor, in the Indianapolis Colts, who were held to less than 60 yards rushing this season, or for the first time this season. Really, really good effort. Starts up front for them. But once again, the second level, as tandem as you'll find. Love watching those guys play. But it takes 11. Remember that too. Okay, here we go. The difference between Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones is in the details. It's different from Daniel Jones and where he's going to have to be if he wants to exploit the Chiefs' defense this week is instances exactly like this. The lesser known, lesser studied, very important intricacies and nuances of the quarterback position, like ball handling. Can you sell a play fake hard enough to get these Chiefs linebackers here to believe that a run action is actually in play? Because these guys are going to trigger hard and trigger fast. And the way that you exploit them in the passing game is to convince them with your ball skills that you actually might be handing it off to the running back who's in the MVP conversation. But this doesn't even get close. Just take a look. Jonathan Taylor instantly sprints to the flat. Watch him. He's trying to sell that play fake, but it's not even close. No Chiefs second level defender thinks that Jonathan Taylor's getting this football. So they stay put, as opposed to triggering hard and fast downhill this way. They're kind of just hanging out in coverage. Daniel Jones, of course, has no other choice but to check it down because they didn't do the little things right first. They're different in that regard, but they're also different too, this goes without saying, on the outside. More resources, more attention allocated towards George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb means that all these other things, these nuances, these tricks, this chess match makes the linebacker life that much more difficult. Here's a textbook example. Watch the action, the details, the intricacies, the nuances, fakes Campbell and Bond into thinking Javonte Williams is actually going to get this football here. Watch them take it. Watch them just shuffle. They hesitate. They freeze ever so slightly, just long enough to free up Jake Ferguson. Watch. Whoop. You see Bond? Watch again. Watch the shuffle. Shuffle right. Whoop. Just enough to free him up. Watch Campbell. Does he buy it? Does he buy it? Whoop. Yes, he does. Just enough. And here comes the 12-yard gain. Details. Details matter. This right here is why that is of paramount importance. Cowboys' 5th highest play action rate. Dak, the 4th most successful quarterback off play action. Chiefs, 32nd ranked passing defense off of play action. That's where they struggle. So you exploit that. And you do so by paying attention to the details. There you go. Critical. Critical. Also meant to mention, it's worth noting, Cowboys left tackle with just play action shots, right? You know, it's important to think about and consider pressure versus O-line situations. Okay, we mentioned the exotic blitzes and the way that they're going to deal with Chris Jones and probably George Karlaftis to some extent. But this is a Chiefs defensive line, front 7, that isn't really getting pressure at a high rate, right? They depend on exotic looks pre-snap and confusion post-snap to dial up blitzes from Steve Spagnuolo and get guys home. George Karlaftis is a guy that's going to win with power off the edge. Tyler Guyton will miss this game for the Cowboys at left tackle with an ankle injury. Nate Thomas, who's also known for power, more of a power player than a finesse mover like Tyler Guyton might be considered as widely by some, but the power's coming along as well. He's a rapidly ascending player. But Nate Thomas, known for power. That power will be put to the test against George Karlaftis. So it's worth acknowledging that right there. If the Cowboys can assess and diagnose, which Dak Prescott is amongst the best at being able to do so, just what the keys that he can discover and notice based off of tendency or otherwise prior to the ball being snapped is an equalizing factor. Okay, so there's a chess match happening here. But if Dak can have just enough time, then we obviously know that the Cowboys will take their matchups on the outside with anybody. And they will hit those matchups. They will be able to exploit that. Once again, the numbers speak for themselves. Okay, so now, how do they allocate for it? What do they prepare for? What is the tendency that I teased earlier that the Cowboys should be paying close attention to, that we expect that they're diving deep into? This particular tendency right here. Let's take a look. The chess match. Already mentioned earlier, it's crazy to think that the Cowboys may actually have the defensive tackle advantage in a matchup that features a guy by the name of Chris Jones. That's just a wild concept for me. You know, it's a mama we made it moment, right? Let me get one of these for that. So here we go. I don't really care who's better. Like, whoever you guys think is better between Chris Jones, whichever, like Derek Nottie, whoever, whichever unit you want to lobby for or against, I don't care. I'm not going to fight you one way or another. All I know is the Cowboys themselves are now at the top, amongst the top in the league at that position, just disrupting the interior, right? So here's the tendency that they should be paying very close attention to. Let's take a listen. It's a cool feeling, one that I'm honestly not used to, when I can sit here and say that the Cowboys are about to play the Kansas City Chiefs
who have a guy by the name of Chris Jones. And it's very possible that he's not the most disruptive defensive tackle that's going to be playing at AT&T Stadium on Thursday night and Thanksgiving. But that's kind of besides the point. He's still obviously a guy that you have to account for. So here's what the Cowboys have to pay attention to. So it's pretty simple stuff here. The chess match that's about to ensue on Thursday between the Cowboys and the Chiefs. You'll see Spagnuolo do stuff like this all the time, right? It's his bread and butter. Isolating matchups by, in this instance, walking Nick Bolton, the linebacker, down into the A-gap, okay? He's forcing a one-on-one situation. He's adding a fifth body to the mix, okay? You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus potentially pass pro here from the running back. But still, at the line of scrimmage, they're trying to create confusion, which thereby creates penetration. They're usually what he's usually gonna do, okay? Find Chris Jones, and they're almost always gonna be dropping from the opposite side of the formation to make sure that Chris is the one that's getting isolated. This is all an attempt to get him a one-on-one. So obviously, if you're the Cowboys, avoid 3rd and 8s, 3rd and longs as often as you possibly can.
That, by the way, is the very reason why a 5-man front was such a coveted or talked about deployment for the Cowboys defensive line, as an undersized interior for one, but especially with the addition of Quinnen Williams pre and post snap. And if you missed my project yesterday on the Eagles exposing themselves, it's also a testament to that as well. How the Eagles, Landon Dickerson's quote post game, weren't expecting that is beyond me, especially considering platforms like this one. Just a guy, couch coordinator like me with a camera and a microphone 6 weeks ago, breaking this down. Long before anybody thought Quinnen Williams or Jeff Simmons or Max Crosby or any top tier difference-making trade asset or was even remotely in the picture. When I was still the lunatics suggesting that was going to happen and telling you guys what to look for. But if Cowboys Nation knows it, how do the Eagles not know it? How are they not prepared for it? Still beyond me. But needless to say, you can bet that the Cowboys themselves are paying very close attention to this right here.
But if and when you do get put into those situations, just know the simulated pressure, the drop, is going to occur away from Chris Jones. 58 had no chance.
So does that make sense, right? Because so let's just say right here, I can't tell who this player is. Who, like, from our perspective, to Chris Jones's immediate right, technically be the left defensive end or edge for the Chiefs in this situation, that play right there. But if they drop him, then all of a sudden 71 and 58 are comboing Chris Jones because 71's looking for work because there's nobody there. He's dropping into coverage. So 71 now eliminates Chris Jones, or has a much better chance of doing so from the equation, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully that does, and we'll move forward with the understanding that it does. You guys are smart, man. Y'all are here. Once again, 85,000 and counting. There is no me without y'all, but I learn every bit as much from you guys as you do for me, okay? You guys are smart. So I got faith in us. All right, the last thing. We've already talked about the details. We've already talked about the chess match, and now let's talk about the Cowboys lose if, and the Cowboys win if. Y'all ready?
All right.
Now, the Cowboys lose to the Chiefs if they do stuff like this. Okay, I tweeted this live. My frustration, been tracking it all year long since week 2 against the Bears. 5th time this season in which the Cowboys run the football successfully on 1st and goal and then proceed to turn the football on downs after throwing it 2 or more times following the successful rush. The power of the pad level that routinely wins week in and week out with Javonte Williams behind the interior trifecta of forklifts works. This is the most difficult area of the field to throw into, okay? So stop beating your head up against the wall, Shotty. As much as I respect you and as many good things, there's that ball handling again. As many nice things as I have to say, as excited I am to have you as head coach, stop reminding us that you didn't hand the football to Marshawn Lynch in the Super Bowl.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
They tried to go here, but he beats him to the punch. And I'm sorry, but I can't believe the call.
Me neither.
I cannot believe the call. You've got Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. You've got a guy that's been borderline unstoppable in this part of the field. I can't believe the call.
Cowboys beat the Chiefs if they get this kind of effort
Just real
throughout the
quick,
football game.
it's important to note that Brian Schottenheimer wasn't responsible for that play call, by the way. He was at Georgia at the time as their offensive coordinator back in 2015. But it was weird for me. I put my brain was in a blender. One of my buddies made it. He brought it to my attention. Peyton Peterson, shout out to him. He's like, yo, just so you know, Shotty wasn't in Seattle in 2015 when that call happened. The not handing it to Marshawn Lynch and instead having Russell Wilson throw it on the goal line to Malcolm Butler. So that was, for some reason, I had it in my head that was Shotty as co-OC and QB's coach on that team in Seattle. Not the case. But the point hopefully still remains and is well taken. Don't try to throw the football in the most difficult area of the field to throw the football, especially not when your interior trio of people movers. That's where their skill set thrives. And on top of that, you've got a power and pad level back in Javonte Williams, a physicality that, contrary to maybe some people's belief, rivals Marshawn Lynch. Not the same, but close. Lean into it. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't make the game harder than it needs to be. First and goal from the 8-yard line. 6.5, 7 yards down to the 2 or the 1. Okay? So it's second and goal now. I just got 6.5 yards running the football on first and goal. Why would I not give my power and pad level running back behind my forklifting interior trio at least one more chance to get one more yard? 1/6 of the success in this instance, one of 5 sequences, right, that I've been tracking on here this season. This is Shotty's biggest problem. In my opinion, this is probably Shotty's only problem right now. The only thing that's a glaring, beaming beacon, a red light of, hey, come on, stop it. Stop reminding us of Marshawn Lynch. There are no perfect head coaches. Shotty's about as close as it gets, just as from a human being and a leader of men standpoint. But this is where he can be better, and he knows it. I'm just ready for him to embrace it. Now, let's also acknowledge Dak Prescott has autonomy at the line of scrimmage. This falls on him too. And I'll be the first one to tell you guys that. You ain't going to beat the Chiefs if you keep beating your head up against the wall inside the 5-yard line. Yeah.
Yeah!
Now, here's how they win. This right here. Ryan Flournoy exemplifying maniacal effort. Wide receiver. Integral component of special teams. But a guy who wins and is now widely considered wide receiver 3 amongst Cowboys Nation because of this stuff right here.
Just riding Sidney Brown all the way across the formation, all the way from the opposite side of the field, wiping out cover man who would have been in pursuit of Kevontae Turpin. Boom. You give me 53 Ryan Flournoys, and I'll take my chances against just about anybody.
That's just insane. Insane effort right there, man. I love physicality, power, pad level, physicality, effort, maniacal. You guys, there's a common thread here between just what matters most for this Cowboys roster, this team, this culture that is still only probably less than a year removed from a country club narrative that plagued them. But the organization itself has leaned into modern principles, the things that we unpacked all offseason long, particularly in circumstances and projects and collaborative efforts with Botch Lombardi, discussing the evolution of the National Football League and why it was always an indictment for the Cowboys to disregard that defensive tackle position in recent history, but especially now when power, pad level, and physicality, condensed formations, heavy personnel, combating the modern hybridized defense that spent 10 years catching up to the postmodern spread, where it was pass-happy offenses. Defenses had to counter that. 10 years to catch up, like I said. More DBs on the field. More finesse players, or at least guys that are lighter, that can move better. 260-pound linebackers are a thing of the past, at least in recent history, but that's going to come back around. Watch. It's the pendulum swinging back now in favor of physicality. That's why we predicted offensive line at 12. That's why we predicted, hey, Javante's skill set, power, and pad level, that's going to work behind this interior trio. Just wait. Knowing what we know about Clayton Adams, easy money. The organization is operating differently now. Brian Schottenheimer is at the forefront of that. You will not convince me otherwise. Think of the players that are not active. Think of the players that they've traded. Micah Parsons, Jadon Blue, Mozzie Smith. Core assets. Deviations from the recent historical norm. Aggressively trading for tier 1 players at the deadline. They will be more aggressive in free agency now moving forward. You just wait and see. Fascinated by this one. We just had a 30-minute long breakdown, and we didn't even mention Patrick Mahomes. The most important position in all of sports, but still, this is the ultimate team sport. The ultimate team sport. I can see this game going either way. I don't even know what the spread is. I don't care. Because mainstream media, the NFL world, fans, analysts alike, most people have still yet to catch up to who the Cowboys are today relative to who they were just a few short weeks ago. And I expect that the world finds out firsthand, potentially the most watched football game of all time. The quarterback advantage that most would like for you to believe exists. It does exist, but it's much less significant than you might think. Because it's all about the chess match. It's all about the details. And it's all about the Cowboys leaning into what got them to the 5-yard line. And the maniacal effort exemplified by special teamers and wide receiver threes like Ryan Flournoy. That's what wins this game tomorrow. Take care of the football, and the Cowboys are going to like where they're at in the fourth quarter. Remember that prayer changes things, and the Warriors already won. I hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving, and don't forget to let me get a yeehaw. Talk to you guys soon.